One of the basic parts of bike maintenance is keeping your chain nice and clean and lubricated. When you're out in a bikepacking environment like this, there's dust, there's dirt, and the chain just gets really dirty, and this can lead to bigger failures like chain breakages, broken rear derailleurs, and ultimately a long walk and a big problem. So it's important to keep on top of maintenance and do little and often, and just keep it running smoothly. Now, Si's been informed what to bring on this trip.
I have indeed.
In his lovely little man bag. So I like to get a nice routine when I'm cleaning my chain. So every morning I'll give it a quick brush over. This isn't a full degrease, this is just kind of easy maintenance. So a small little chain rag, a bit of cut off t-shirt, maybe a cloth, whatever you can find. And you can give the chain a nice little rub and get the worst of the dirt off, and then just add some lube, and you can decant it into a smaller bottle like this to save carrying a whole massive bottle on your trip.
There is going to be a problem here though, right, Josh? Because if you just put fresh lube on a progressively dirtier chain, you are going to end up with a sticky mess that's probably going to do as much damage.
That is correct. However, right now where we are, you obviously are limited to what options you've got to clean your chain. However, every 2 or 3 days when the opportunity arises, it's good to give it a thorough clean if you can. There's a couple of tricks you can use to do this. If you go to a petrol station or a gas station, you can get some diesel on a rag, and that's really, really good at removing grease. However, it will totally strip the chain, so you need to be careful to reapply all the lube afterwards.
You need to rinse it off?
You don't need to rinse it because it evaporates. However, you do need to sort of get all the grime off on the rag.
Yeah.
Be careful though, because it is quite toxic on your hands, so try and wear gloves or something to protect your hands. The other method is washing up liquid. It's pretty good at getting rid of grease. However, you need to give it a good scrub with a toothbrush. So a top tip is to carry a toothbrush for your teeth and a toothbrush for your chain.
You got more toothbrushes than you do boxer shorts.
Exactly. Just don't get them mixed up though.
What, your toothbrush and your boxer shorts?
Exactly. Yeah. If you keep on top of your maintenance, your bike's just going to sound much nicer, it's going to ride smoother, and it's going to stop you getting big greasy marks up your legs. It's quite rare to actually break a spoke, however, it can happen. And when you're tired on a bikepacking trip after a long day, you've got a loaded up bike, it's quite easy to hit a big pothole by accident, and that impact can put your wheel out of alignment or even break a spoke. So carrying a spare is essential. Just remember, if you have 2 different length spokes in your wheel set, you need to take one of each, and make sure you've got spare nipples as well, because they could break. So if you do find yourself in a situation where you do need to true your wheel or replace a spoke, you need the right tools for the job. So that either means carrying a spoke key with the right size to fit the nipples on your wheel set, or if you don't have a spoke key and you need to improvise, you can use a set of pliers such as these. If I ever have a problem with my wheels out on the road, I've always got a truing stand with me just in case.
Wow, what are you doing, Josh?
Well, it's my truing stand.
You can't stand upside down, Josh, it's a bike.
We're not in the real world, but we're in bikepacking world here. So if you've got a problem, you can turn your bike upside down and use a zip tie to work out if your wheel's straight or not. All you need to do is put the zip tie around the fork blade or the chainstay, and then you can use the long length here as a gauge. You might need to chop it down a bit, and there we have it. We have a truing stand on our bike.
Now, I've noticed you are running tubeless tyres, which makes sense, obviously, given that you're less likely to get punctures. But have you got any tricks up your sleeve for when you actually end up getting a flat? Because I suppose it's kind of inevitable, isn't it?
It is. It's probably the most common mechanical you'll get, because your tyres are going to be on the floor the whole time and you're going to run over glass, sharp stones, or hit a pothole. Generally, the sealant inside the tyre will seal a lot of the smaller holes in there. If you get a bit of glass in there, it tends to block the hole and the sealant kind of stops the air coming out. However, if it does go flat, then generally it means there's a bigger hole in there, probably more than about 2 or 3 millimeters. However, the quick fix is to use one of these plug kits here. Okay. So essentially, it's a bit of cord with some rubber on it, and you force it through the hole in the tyre.
You stab the tyre?
You essentially make a hole in your tyre to fix it. It doesn't really make sense, does it? But it kind of works. And when you pull the plug out, the air can't escape, and the sealant has a smaller hole to seal, so therefore it stops the air escaping.
So the cord is kind of hanging out your tyre, is it?
It will be hanging out a little bit, but if you've got a little knife or something with you, you can just clip it off and you can barely notice. The other option is the good old inner tube. Yeah. However, you do have to remember that you're running tubeless, so the chances are you run over something at some point. So check your tyre thoroughly, because I've had it before where I've had a puncture, pulled like a massive nail out and thought, oh, That's it. That's caused my puncture. Put the inner tube in and found I've had loads of bits of wire and thorns and glass, and it's gone flat straight away.
Presumably though, a tube is a last resort, because otherwise you could end up with inner tubes in your bike front and back, and the whole tubeless thing is wasted.
Well, running a tube isn't ideal. However, accidents do happen and tyres can get cut, and a tube is always going to work.
Yeah.
However, if you do have a big cut in your tyre, you have to bear in mind that having a tube in there is going to be exposed, so you're going to puncture again really quickly. And then you need to make some more substantial tyre repairs. So there's a couple of things you can do. The first one is to make some kind of tyre boot. Now you can use stuff you have to hand, so a bit of toothpaste tube is really good, or a bit of plastic milk bottle.
Yeah.
Basically something that is going to sit between the tyre and the tube and stop the tube bulging out. The other thing to do is to carry some nylon thread or fishing line and a curved needle. And you can actually thread up a bigger cut in your tyre.
Now that is cool. Stitching your tyre back together, that's when you know you've truly made it as a bike packer, isn't it?
That's when you know you've truly made it as a bike packer, or you're really in deep trouble. But you do have to remember that the nylon can wear, so it's not like a long-term fix, it's more of a get yourself to somewhere where you can actually mend your tyre properly or get a new tyre. I hope all those tips were helpful, Si, and
Absolutely.
hopefully you'll be able to use them for the rest of our trip and keep your bike running nice and smoothly.
Yeah, you know what? I never thought you'd say I get to clean my chain twice a day, but thank you very much for that. Now, if you want some common or garden roadside maintenance hacks, then we've got some back over on GCN. So what to do if you break a rear derailleur, some pretty terminal mechanicals like that. If you want to watch that video, click just down there.